Welcome back to VidZet. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about how we go about making these videos. And just to show you, I don't have a big script. Here are my notes. The first thing I want to do is to give a great thanks shout out to all of the volunteers who have been looking all over the web, picking up videos, postings of one sort or another, and just generally information that's very useful as we put these things together. The second is to the anonymous doctors who've been able to assist me as I've gone along. Now, these guys have to remain anonymous for the simple reason that the feds can come and take a couple of years of their income away if they don't like what they've done. The process is very simple. They do an audit, and when they come in, I can guarantee they'll figure out a way to find a rule that got broken. It will get labeled Medicare fraud, and it's a huge penalty, so they can't afford to be exposed. When all of that information comes in, the first thing I have to do is to avoid something called confirmation bias. Now, that's simply the idea that I'm looking for a particular kind of information, and if I see something that looks remotely close, I will flag it as being that item. And there are a number of these things that have come along. I'm going to use 3 examples just to illustrate the problem we have. The first one is a set of photographs that showed what appeared to be some sort of wire or tubing, possibly under Hillary Clinton's pants leg. And a lot of websites jumped to the conclusion that this was a tubing leading from a bladder catheter down to a leg bag, and they showed all sorts of diagrams. The problem is, we simply don't have enough information to reach that conclusion. The second item came during the debate with Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton at one point did a little shimmy shake action with her shoulders. And a number of people, because we'd gotten them tuned into tremors with Parkinson's disease, thought that that might be a Parkinson's tremor. It's not. It's just a shimmy and shake, much as you or I might do when we get something that sends chills down our spine. So this was actually a little bit of theatrics on Hillary's part, not a disease process. The third example also comes from the debate. After Hillary and Donald had done all of their theatrics on stage, they went down to greet their supporters. And there's a photograph of Hillary leaning over to shake hands, and there is a box-shaped object that's behind her right hip that prints through the jacket of her pantsuit. And all sorts of speculations came up of, was this the control box for a deep brain stimulator or some other thing to do with diseases? The answer to the question was in front of our eyes from the moment Donald and Hillary walked on stage. Both of them had wireless lapel microphones. The wire coming down under the clothing was from the microphone to the transmitter box, which is attached to the belt. I've put these on many times when I'm doing audio at church. Another question is provenance. That is, how did we get this? All of us have seen videos that show amazing things only to learn later on that they were created by photoshopping images together. What we have to be certain of is that the images that we are looking at are real. The video from September 19 that showed Hillary's eyes crossing was one case in point. The left-leaning sites were arguing that there was nothing to see here, that it wasn't real. Somebody had obviously photoshopped it. But when we went back and looked at the original video, it was in fact exactly as we saw it. So we proved that something was wrong. Other times we've seen the opposite, where the presentation in the video was just simply not accurate. One item we're researching right now is medical records. We know that Dr. Lisa Bardak has released various letters, but there are other things that supposedly came from her office, such as internal notes and even now a CT scan, which look like they might be real. In particular, the CT scan looks like about a third-generation copy with all of the normal identifying features around the edges that lead one to say, this looks pretty real. But right now, we can't prove where it came from, and as a result, we have a real solid question about whether there's any information there that can be used. Until we prove where that CT scan came from, we really can't use it to make any arguments. Now, once we've gone through all of the processes of sorting things out, avoiding confirmation bias and so on, we have another problem. When we see what appear to be disease signs, then we have to look at, is this a sign of what we thought we knew, or is it a sign of something else? And this is where we get into the problem of differential diagnosis that I've discussed earlier. There are about a dozen different disease processes that can cause some of the things that we've seen. They all overlap, they're related, and basically all of them have a very, very bad outlook, both for the patient and for the country. So what we have to do now is to try to sort out what's probable. It would be really nice if we were able to actually see true medical records, because that would solve the mystery. But until then, we're stuck. We just have to do our best guess and then add information as it becomes available. Now, we also will look at things from the standpoint of, I've got 3 things here that look like they fit Parkinson's, then a 4th one comes, a 5th one comes, a 6th one comes, and as we start adding those other pieces, the story for Parkinson's gets more firm. But if it starts pointing us in another direction, then we go that way. Stay tuned. I'm Dr. Ted Noel. Thanks for watching.